Awesome. So welcome, everybody. I am Kate Elliott, the Executive Director of the Autism Society. Welcome to the Lunch and Learn for today. And this is Whitney. I'm from the Division of I messed that up. Division of Developmental Disabilities. And I will let her introduce herself and all our programs. Thank you, Whitney.
Thank you so much, Kate. And yes, it's a mouthful. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being here today, spending your lunch hour with me. I'm Whitney Mickelson, and I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator with the Division of Developmental Disabilities in the southern region of the state, so I'm located in Tucson. A little bit of background about me. My education is in psychology, and I spent much of my career working with and assisting people with disabilities. I have about 8 years of case management or support coordination experience, both in Wyoming and Arizona. And when I first moved to Arizona, I spent some time as an adult protective service investigator. So I bring to you today some information about the Department of Economic Security's departments and divisions, particularly the Division of Developmental Disabilities. And I'm going to preface this presentation by saying if there happens to be a question that comes up that I'm not able to answer right away, I would be happy to take your contact information and I will get that answer to you right away. So we'll go ahead and get started. So DES, Department of Economic Security, is a state agency that serves Arizonans in many areas and departments. The mission here at DES is to serve the people in aiding to meet their full potential. We follow the true north value by supporting those who qualify both timely and effectively toward that full potential. Now on this slide, you'll see the 8 different divisions under the umbrella that is DES. And I'll go ahead and just leave it up here for a couple of seconds for you all to look over yourselves. I don't want to read it to you. But yes, we do have 8 different divisions and over 50 programs. The DDD mission statement is the Division of Developmental Disabilities empowers individuals with developmental disabilities to lead self-directed, healthy, and meaningful lives. We do this through person-centered service planning, and that just means that we listen to the member, what they want for themselves, understand their needs, and advocate for them. The member is the focus of the planning process toward the life that they want to live. As I mentioned, I'm here today to provide information specifically about DDD. DDD serves children ages 3 and up and adults with autism, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, cognitive or intellectual disability, and Down syndrome. Down syndrome was added as a qualifying diagnosis on its own just last year due to legislation that passed. We were always serving members with Down syndrome, but due to that change in legislation, it became a diagnosis qualifying on its own. And DDD provides services and supports to over 50,000 Arizonans and their families each year. This chart here represents the breakdown by diagnosis of those 50,000 plus DDD members served. As you can see, autism and intellectual disability are the largest population served, both at 32%. Then 25% are at risk of developing one of those 5 qualifying diagnoses. And then over here, you'll see 7% make up the cerebral palsy diagnosis and 4 have epilepsy. This data is collected quarterly, and so it doesn't yet include the Down syndrome numbers. They're still too small to show up on the chart, but those numbers are growing in percentage as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Early Intervention Program, or AZIP, because it is considered a gateway to DDD services and membership if qualifications are met. So we'd like to discuss their program here as well. At one time, AZIP was under DDD, but they have branched off into a separate department under DES. This program is for members ages 0 to 3 and those who are considered to be at risk of developing one of those qualifying disabilities that were mentioned, or they're exhibiting developmental delays. So a child is considered to be developmentally delayed when they have not reached 50% of the developmental milestones expected at their chronological age. Anyone can make a referral to AZIP on the behalf of the child. And referrals can be made online, by phone, or through Raising Special Kids, who is the central referral agency for AZIP. AZIP services can continue until the child is no longer eligible for AZIP or up until one day before they turn 3 years of age. After that initial referral is made, the family can expect an initial call and a visit from the support coordinator, and a determination for eligibility in the program is completed. If they are found for some reason to be ineligible for AZIP, referrals will be made to other programs and services for support. And if they are eligible, they will receive an assessment and a creation of the IFSP, the Individual and Family Service Plan, where you would discuss goals, outcomes, and strategies for reaching those goals based on the family's priorities and areas of most concern. And what's really cool about AZIP is that this is all. I'm sorry.
Hello.
So this is all at no out-of-pocket cost to the family, regardless of their insurance. Some of the most commonly asked questions about AZIP are here. They're usually regarding what kind of services are available under AZIP, and those can include support coordination, developmental special instruction, which is just extra resources for the child and the family, and or therapies. So they may be able to receive occupational, physical, and speech therapy under AZIP. Specific questions regarding AZIP can be answered at their main office listed here in Phoenix by phone or email, and their contact information is here on this slide. There are a few things that a person would need to have in order to apply for DDD membership and services. The first one is the applicant must be an Arizona resident. Individuals that are in the process of relocating to Arizona are able to apply up to 30 days prior to the move if they're able to provide a verifiable address within Arizona. They must also have lawful status in the US, proof of the qualifying diagnosis, and proof of at least 3 of 7 functional limitations, which I'll go into in a couple more slides. I will also mention that eligibility for DDD is based solely off of the member, not parents, guardians, or other family members. DCS placement or guardianship has no bearing on eligibility. It's strictly based off of having the diagnosis and the substantial functional limitations. In addition to the 5 qualifying diagnoses for regular DDD membership, there is an exception for the at-risk children from birth to 6. If they have a diagnosis of one of the 5 qualifying DDD diagnoses, or there is potential that a child will have one of these diagnoses eventually if they're and is in need of early intervention services, they must also have a documented significant developmental delay, again, meaning they exhibit half or more delay for their age group, and they must have impacts in at least one of the following areas of development: physical, cognitive, social, emotional, communication, or self-help. Up until age 6, one of these areas needs to be affected. So they would need to have documented one of those 5 disabilities you'll see at the top there before they're able to continue on with DDD services. This diagnosis needs to have manifested prior to age 18 and be likely to continue indefinitely. The approved medical professionals that diagnoses can come from for DDD membership are listed here by their associated qualifying diagnosis. These professionals are determined by existing statute and policy, and in the state of Arizona, autism needs to be a medical diagnosis for DDD. So as you can see, autism, that diagnosis can come from a licensed psychiatrist or psychologist, a developmental pediatrician, or a child neurologist with training in autism. That's the biggest difference here. Intellectual disability, that diagnosis can come from a school psychologist, a licensed psychologist, or a psychometrist working under a licensed or school psychologist. Epilepsy diagnosis, that can come from a licensed physician or neurologist. CP or cerebral palsy, that can come from a physician or neurologist, and same with Down syndrome, PCP or clinical geneticist can make that determination. In addition to having one of those 5 qualifying diagnoses, for eligibility, the person must also have substantial functional limitations in their daily life, these major 7 areas. The first one is self-care, meaning that the individual requires significant assistance in performing eating, hygiene, grooming, or healthcare skills, or the time to perform these impacts their ability to retain employment or conduct other activities of daily living. Receptive and expressive language, the individual may be unable to communicate with others successfully without assistance. So maybe they use an AAC or a third party like sign language. And then there's learning. This includes obtaining and processing of new information, attention factors, acquisition of new information, storage and recovery, and they may be unable to participate in age-appropriate activities without the use of additional resources. They may be impacted mobility-wise, so they may rely on a mechanical device or another person for movement from one place to another. Self-direction includes managing personal finances, protecting self-interest, or making independent decisions. Capacity for independent living, their safety or well-being requires daily assistance for supervision or health and housekeeping. And economic self-sufficiency, the individual is unable to maintain regular employment or their ability to earn income falls below the poverty level. So there are asterisks on number 6 and number 7, and that's just explaining that that applies more to the older members. You know, we're not expecting young children to balance a checkbook and those kind of things. And I would even argue that maybe some self-direction is for older members. These functional limitations are a part of the assessment for DDD, but they can be backed up by any notes or documentation from the PCP or recommendations, documentation from IEPs or other school documents. So per policy, redetermination is a process that occurs at ages 6 and again at ages 18. Redetermination at age 6 is due to the member being of school age, and there may be start to be more noticeable gaps in development. And then age 18 is due to the transition into adulthood, and potentially if they didn't have a legal guardian, they could make that decision to continue or discontinue with DDD as it is a voluntary program. So a newly signed application is needed for the redetermination at that age. And then this link here at the bottom has specific eligibility information from the Division Eligibility Manual. This next slide shows documentation that's required for applicants. A fully completed and signed application must include the approved identification. IDs that are accepted include a US birth certificate, US passport, a US citizenship or immigration document, or a certificate of Indian blood if applicable. And note that ID is required for the applicant only. They would also need documentation of a qualifying diagnosis and legal responsibility if the applicant is under 18 or is a ward of court-appointed legal guardianship. That documentation would also be needed. Here are the 5 DDD offices statewide that will accept in-person drop-off applications Monday through Friday between 8 and 5. So we have an office in Flagstaff, Chandler, 2 in the Phoenix area, and 1 in Tucson, which is located on Alvernon. For rural areas or those with limited internet access or no access to a scanner, utilizing the public library, or if the applicant is of school age, requesting that the school assist with scanning and sending in the application to this email, that's an option. If for some reason the application is incomplete, it would be sent back to the applicant with an explanation of what needs to be completed, or if there's more documentation or more information needed. So this next slide is new to this presentation, which I think is really, really helpful. It's a visual. This is the member journey. So kind of already covered it, but step one is where they apply. They complete the application, sign it, scan it, email it, or drop it off, as we've discussed. Then step two, the eligibility staff reviews the application and materials to determine eligibility. Step three is the new member is assigned to a support coordinator who contacts them to schedule the initial planning meeting. Then the initial planning meeting is conducted with the member and support coordinator and anybody else they wish to have at those meetings. That's completed, and then referrals for services and other community resources if needed. Then the member completes the application to Altex if they're not already enrolled, and they will be determined for eligibility for the Altex program. If they are Arizona long-term care eligible, the member and the support coordinator work together to select vendors to provide the DDD services. The support coordinator initiates what's called a vendor call to identify a service provider who provides those services to the member. Step 8, the member begins receiving those services based on need and as explained in the planning document. Planning meetings are conducted every 90 days for all Altex members. So you would meet with your support coordinator for that meeting every 90 days. And then redetermination is the last step, and that would be like we discussed at ages 6 and again at age 18. When a person becomes eligible for DDD, they are also screened for a referral to Altex, Arizona Long-Term Care System. It should be noted that DDD and Altex are two completely different programs, and a person can qualify for one and not the other. If you have questions before you apply, you can call the customer service line or email questions to the address seen here. Communication with eligibility will have that eligibility specialist name and contact information. So if there are questions that come up during the eligibility process in applying, you can reach out to that eligibility specialist for those questions. So this slide, a lot of questions come up regarding the different membership types when people are DDD members. So this is a visual here and an explanation for that. DDD members fall into one of 3 categories. On the left, you'll see DD only means that the member is not medically eligible for long-term care and they're not financially eligible for access. They would be responsible for their own health insurance. They may have insurance or no insurance. And then they would meet for the PCSP every 180 days. People can fall under the targeted support coordination or TSC for access. So that means that they are financially eligible for access, but again, they don't have that medically assessed need for long-term care. They would have be able to choose from one of 7 Access Complete care programs and be able to receive physical and behavioral health care from those. And then their PCSP, the person-centered service plan, would be every 90, 180, or 365 days or yearly. And that's the only membership where they are able to choose how often they meet. And then we have the Altex membership. This is the Arizona Long-Term Care System. This means that they're medically eligible for long-term care. They would receive physical and behavioral health care from the DDD contracted health plans. So they would be Mercy Care or United Healthcare Community Plan or the Tribal Plan. Person-centered service plan happens every 90 days. They receive long-term care services and supports based on assessed need and medical necessity. And Altex membership makes up about 80% of our current DDD members. You saw that case management or support coordination is a part of all DDD membership types, and they are the go-to. They're your main point of contact for questions, when things change, all sorts of things. Anything that changes, any needs might change, situation might change. If you move, change health plans, that would be the support coordinator. They meet with the members and the team at scheduled intervals based on their assigned program, and they're there to gain an understanding of the member, their needs, planning and writing of the PCSP, explaining rights as a DDD member, and coordinating and connecting the member to services and other community resources to meet their needs. There are several services available to Altex members, but these are just a few of the most common. Respite is a service that's meant to provide a break to the main caregivers for them to practice self-care, run errands, go to the movies, whatever that might look like for them. This too is based on assessed need, and you may qualify for up to 600 hours per service year. Attendant care is a service that provides a qualified individual to provide needed services in order for the individual to remain in their home or participate in community or work activities. I explain this service as being for more high medical, supervision, or behavioral needs, but it's also for completing activities of daily living, assistance with those things, meal prep, transferring, that kind of thing. Habilitation is a goal-oriented service that is to assist the member in learning a new skill. Examples are tying shoes, completing hygiene tasks, working on social skills, community safety, etc., and overall skills toward independence. Again, these are just a few of the services offered. There are actually around 200 services available. DD membership can be lifelong as long as the member continues to qualify. And I like to explain DDD services as the needs change, as the members' needs change, so can the services. As adults, there's employment services available, independent living arrangements. There's a wide range of services available to Altex members. Under Altex, you may be eligible for occupational, physical, or speech therapies as well. These are all with a doctor's prescription and then given to the support coordinator, who will then start that process. So occupational therapy aids in the development of fine motor skills and coping strategies for sensory stressors. Physical aids in the development of gross motor skills to assist the individual in mobility and daily living. Physical therapy actually reverts to the health plan after the person is 21. Speech therapy aids in the development of functional movement and speech development to assist in communication skills development, non-speaking or otherwise. If a member had a need for feeding therapy, that could be that could fall under speech therapy. Okay, so as I mentioned in the previous slide, support coordination is able to refer and provide the member with other community resources. Autism Society of Southern Arizona is a great one, and one I would provide families with often when I was in support coordination, same as Raising Special Kids. These community resources are able to assist with the wide range of supports, including IEP, denial of benefits, guardianship information, transition to adult information, parent support, toolkits, support groups, social meetups, and others. This is just a very short list of services out there. So the Office of Individual and Family Affairs is a division under DES. Here you'll find departments like these. You'll have the Customer Service Center that makes up a very large portion of OIFA, Office of Individual and Family Affairs. You have benefits coordination, housing program. We have Department of Child Safety or foster care. All of the different departments have a liaison. So we've got advocacy or behavioral health advocacy if needed, justice reach-in and care coordination. We do have members who may be incarcerated, so that's where they come in. We've got the Independent Oversight Committee liaisons, and they oversee and take human rights concerns and tribal community engagement. And then you'll see here, Office of Community Engagement, DDD Community Engagement, that's me. We also offer a bachelor's or master's of social work internship, and it is paid. Again, here is the Customer Service Center, a large part of Office of Individual and Family Affairs, who can be contacted for general questions, concerns. I know sometimes people forget or are unsure who their support coordinator is. You may call the customer service line for that information. They're available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and they are closed on state service holidays. This is my team, my supervisor, Kirk Cree. He is in the Phoenix metro area. I'm Whitney Mickelson, and I am in Tucson. And our team is available for presentations just like this. We attend community events, sharing information on the division, eligibility and processes. We attend conferences, expos, transition fairs, and other community events. And at this time, I am happy to take some questions. I know we're ending a little early, but I know Kate has some items to share, and I'm happy to give you some lunch time back in your day.
If anybody has any questions, they can speak up or they can. Whitney, did you want?
Hey, Whitney.
Hi.
This is Tushan.
Hello.
So I have a quick question regarding eligibility. So does non-immigrants with a visa of H1 are eligible for this program?
Can you repeat that?
So non-immigrants with visa status of H1B are eligible for this program?
Yes, if you are an Arizona resident and an United States citizen, you should be eligible. You just need to provide the documentation proving that you are a U.S. citizen.
Not U.S. citizen, non-immigrant, I mean to say. We are in a professional visa.
Let me take that down and I will get back to you on that.
Okay.
Hi, I actually have the same question. It's just he was asking for the H1 visa. I am asking for L1 visa. So if we are on L1 visa, so will this program be eligible for L1 visa?
Okay, I'm going to take that back to leadership. If I can, I believe I have your email addresses if you did provide that, and I will get back to you on that. So it's the H1 visa and the N1 visa?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Cool. I will definitely check into that. I have not had that question come up, so I'm happy to follow up on that.
Okay. So I'm just dropping my email ID for just for reference purpose in the chat, so you can reply back on this.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much for your question.
Thank you.
And Whitney, not the presenter, Whitney, the participant, Whitney, you had your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, my name is Whitney. I have a couple questions, but I'll ask this first one, and then if anyone else has something, then I'll circle back after. My son's going to turn 6 in September, and so I was curious if I should just wait until then to submit an application, or if the process takes that long that it's fine to go ahead and start now, and by September he'll get approved after his birthday.
So the earlier the better. For the age 6 redetermination, we don't need a new application signed because as long as you as the guardian are wanting to continue on with DDD services, that is sufficient. So I think it's kind of confusing. Redetermination doesn't necessarily mean reevaluation. If for some reason we don't have on file proof of one of the 5 qualifying diagnoses, it's best to get that ahead of time as early as possible. Give that to the support coordinator, and the redetermination eligibility, they just look to make sure that we have everything we need. So if there is something else that's needed, more information needed, an updated evaluation that could happen, that would come from the eligibility. So the earlier the better. If he's turning 6 in September, that's a few months out. Yeah, just making sure that you've got proof of that qualifying diagnosis. We've got everything you need, any backup documentation from the school. The more the better, I say, and the earlier the better.
Okay. I have more questions, but did you want me to wait until someone else has anything first?
No, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy to answer.
So my developmental pediatrician keeps telling me about that I should apply to DDD because there's a program that'll cover the co-pays. Is that the Altex program or is that through DDD?
I think it's, I don't know if you're wanting to share, if you want to stay after, but do you know, which health plan are you under?
We have private insurance through Cigna, and we haven't the whole time. He got diagnosed quite a while ago, but I think we've had that insurance for a while, and he gets in-network ABA therapy services. And now currently that's all because he's since started at an early learning center. So he's been getting speech and physical and OT services at the school, and that's been more convenient. But she keeps telling me that I should check it out because something through the DDD program would cover our co-pays after the insurance is what she said. The website to me is overwhelming to navigate through all of that. So I wanted to be able to just ask you directly if you know anything about that and whether that means he would need to qualify for Altex. I have no idea if he would or wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm not positive on the copay stuff. I know there is, because it's Cigna and private, I know if you are a member of one of the contracted DDD health plans, there's a liaison that you could reach out to and they're super helpful. But I will look into the Cigna and the copays for the program for DDD covering copays. So okay. Do you mind putting your email in the chat and I'll get back to you on that one too?
Yeah, that's no problem. And then I have another question.
It is the Altex is that secondary that helps with the copays. So they have to qualify at that level. But that's when it kicks in, just from personal experience.
Yeah, the Altex is like the gamut of services, supports, insurance, all of that. So thanks, Kate.
And then my other question was, what if I'm really only interested in finding out about more extracurricular activities, services like that for my son and not necessarily therapy services?
Like what kind of extracurriculars?
Like this summer, I really struggled with finding any camps that had services either inclusive or specific for children with developmental disabilities. He does specifically have an autism diagnosis. And in particular, when I finally reached somebody at the city after jumping through some hoops, her response to me was, "You're too late now." And, "Oh, well, you would have known about it if you were in DDD because they notify about that stuff." And it's just really frustrating as a parent because I feel like as far as services for his autism needs, I've got that covered. So I haven't taken steps to go through and be part of the DDD program. Honestly, we were part of the AZIP program and it was not great. It was at the time that they switched their contractor. And so they went from having individual therapists that are trained in specific areas to a team environment. And we got one representative that came to our house who was supposedly trained. But every time I asked her a question about anything, she was like, "Oh, I'll have to get to the team and ask that question and get back to you. And then it was just became a nuisance to have her come to my house when it wasn't beneficial. So I'm not interested in, you know, cutting out from the services we've already set up, but I would like to know about other programs that over the summer, or I don't know, in the evening or things like that, because he can't just go to any standard, you know, program and meet the same expectation that neurotypical kids have. And so I'm trying to figure out where's the hole in like my access to information so that I can be aware when that stuff exists, and then get him involved so he can take advantage of that too.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if they're thinking of the summer programs through DDD. It's trying to think of the name of it. It's been a while since I was in support coordination. It's like a summer program. And I do know that they fill up really fast. I'm wondering if that's kind of what they're talking about. But as far as extracurriculars, the support coordinator has a lot of resources. I'm trying to think, are you in Tucson?
Yeah.
There's this gym that was just opening up toward the end of when I was a support coordinator, and they have, they're autism friendly. It sounded really cool. And they were looking to, yes, yeah, that's it.
And there was my son. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I like a lot of my members really enjoyed that. But I think, unfortunately, if you have the time, you are probably the best at Googling. If you're a part and associated with Autism Society, I know they've got a really awesome list of resources and events. But support coordinator, they're really the go-to if these things come up. If you do have a support coordinator, that's, you know, I liked providing that information as a support coordinator. I do know that there's so much and more coming on and more coming up, events and agencies offering those kind of services and just fun events for kids, social meetups and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully you're able to find something.
And also, if you want to, you can call us or you can email our information referral specialist, Max, at info@as-az.org. And she can talk to you about all sorts of different extracurricular things and options. And do you get our newsletter? And are you following us on Facebook?
I do get your newsletter now. I actually had called in and talked to somebody in your office when I found that out. It was from the city of Tucson with their KidCo program that they have an inclusion program that they advertise is available starting age 5. But then when I actually managed to get somebody on the phone, it's not actually available until they've matriculated through kindergarten, which is not the same thing as age 5.
Right.
And that's my son. And so then they, you know, flipped me to a different developmental disability specifically for 8 that said it was for ages 3 to 5. And that was when it was like, sorry, you're too little, too late. And they're understaffed, so they can't open as many slots as there is a need for, which is pretty much every program out there, right? Like, so yeah, I talked to your guys' office. That's how I found out about this meeting. Whoever I spoke to was enough to tell me like, oh, I just got this organized. Come find out more about DDD. And yeah, it's not that I'm not willing to put in the effort, but it's just frustrating when I'm like the last, it's like the last one to know, and then it's late. So trying to figure out, what I need to be doing. So I will talk to that referral person. And Whitney, that actually brought me to my other question. How many care coordinators are there? I guess specifically in Tucson, if you know, but if not, like statewide, and how many cases does each one of them have on average?
Oh man, I don't know exact numbers. I would have to look at that. And I know they're always hiring or always trying to find new support coordinators, and that might be kind of a frustrating thing for parents to just get used to one support coordinator and then here comes another one. But once you get a good one, hopefully you can hold on to them. I don't know the numbers, but I can speak to my caseload was roughly 50 when I was in support coordination.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's,
and it's all broken down into districts and that. And
okay, cool. I think that's it for my questions. Thank you so much for your help.
Yeah, I will follow up with everything. And then one other thing that popped up was, I know that there's got to be in the larger city of Tucson. In Wyoming, I had a lot of members who were part of, I think it was called the Challenger League, and it was a baseball, like a league for people with disabilities. And a lot of members really enjoyed that. There's got to be something like that here in Tucson, probably several, and different sports as well. And then also there's like, it might be through Parks and Rec, and I know there's several other options for aquatics. There's swimming, and then there's also the trot or the horse riding. There's those options available as well. But I think the support coordinator should be the best go-to, other than, you know, unfortunately researching. And I do commiserate. I had a member whose mom was like, I just feel like you have to ask the right question at the right time to the right person to get the information you need. So anything that comes up, I'm happy to try and research for you. I do love doing some of that support coordination still.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's just sometimes I feel like I need to know the secret handshake. And I don't know. And even, you know, Autism Society, you guys had on your Facebook some type of like ranch type camp that said that they were for kids who had developmental disabilities, and I contacted them, and they were on like a week by week basis, which is fine for a camp sign up. It was 4 days a week. I can't remember, I want to say it was like from 8 to noon, and I called and spoke to somebody, or I emailed, I think, and she didn't even ask me any screening questions, but she immediately was like, yeah, we'll take your son as long as you have aid to send with him, and that they'll sign off on a waiver. And I'm like, no, I don't. If I had an aid, I wouldn't be looking for you guys. Like, you know, like it's the point to get to send him to go do something. And it was like $370 a week for him to go. And that's just cost prohibitive if I also have to find somebody else to go with him, to accompany him. And, you know, so stuff like that's frustrating, because I feel like, well, then you shouldn't advertise that you know, support develop, because you don't really, you're willing to let us in if we bring all of our own support.
No,
that's not the thing. So
yeah, that's fair. I wish I knew who they were. That would be like, yeah, no, because that's
I don't
not
remember their name. I just emailed her back and said, like, this doesn't sound like it's gonna work for me, and, you know, thanks for your time.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
that's frustrating.
Whitney, there are some suggestions too in the chat. I don't know if you have access to see that, but there is a Challenger League in Tucson, looks like. And Access Parent Alliance is a great resource for extracurriculars, play formats. Yeah.
Thank
you so much, everyone. And sorry I took over the call.
No worries.
Great. That's what it's for, to get the information out. So that's why we're here. Melissa, I see you have your hand up. You want to come off mute and ask your question? You can hear me.
Maybe it was an accidental
Maybe.
hand raise.
Oh, wait, here she comes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I was having a little technical difficulties.
No worries.
So I have some questions. I did call the DDD office this morning, and the address that you have on the slideshow, which is 1455 South Alvernon Way, the lady that I spoke with gave me a different address. It was 400 West Congress. Is either office okay? Do you have multiple offices, or?
I think that's come up before. To my knowledge, Tucson is the only one, or the Alvernon location is the only one that accepts the drop-off application. I don't know where the disconnect is there, but to my knowledge, Tucson location is Alvernon, 1455 South Alvernon.
Okay, and what are your office hours?
8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Closed on state observed holiday.
Got it. And then the form that I was directed to print and bring in was the 972A application. Is that correct?
Got number, unless they change, is it the DDD application?
Yes.
I have that it's the DDD 2069A. If you'd like, I can email you a copy of the application.
Oh, okay, that would be
Is that
great.
the right one? Okay.
And
go ahead.
sorry. Oh, no worries. So I do have coverage for the tribe, and they maybe just to help answer some of the questions the other parent had. I do have tribal care insurance for my son, as well as personal health care. For my son's developmental pediatrician, she said it was the old tech that would pick up co-pays for occupational speech, physical, if he would have need it. But that would be a secondary form of insurance that would cover. But she did express that not all people would be eligible, depending on his how impacted he was, if he was like low or high on the spectrum.
Gotcha.
And then trot was another one that we were looking into, but your child has to be the age of 4 and up to qualify to get the horse therapy. On the spectrum was another, and then there is play. The parent would have to go, but it's called Wild State. They do sensory playtime. So they do have an option for autistic kids to go, and they have like sensory play for them.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
That is all I have. And could you, while you're emailing me the 2069A form, can you also email me a attachment of the slideshow as well, if you don't mind?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody asked for it. Lewis said, can you email an application as well? Did you want a application emailed to you, or you, Lewis, are you asking if you can turn in the application via email?
No, if you can do like an attachment application so I can print it and then I'll take it in.
Okay. Yes. We can get you that.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Is there any other questions? Anybody else stands up? Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. We're excited to have you here. I hope everybody got their questions answered. I will be sending out an email with the link to the recording of this and a whole bunch of information Whitney sent me. So, and we can include the application on that email as well, so everybody has it. And if you need anything else, just reach out to one of us and we'll help you get connected to any information that you need. I wanted to give some announcements of things that are happening at the Autism Society coming up this Friday. For any adults, we have our in-person adult social club. It's your birthday, so we're having a birthday party for everybody who's coming, and it's going to be fun. We'll have cake, play games, things like that. It's from 6 to 8 at UCP. That's United Cerebral Palsy at 5th and Craycroft. You can sign up to get the emails about it on our website. We also have our Autistic Pride Day mixer happening on Saturday. It's also at UCP. It's from 6 to 8, and it's for anybody who is on the LGBTQ and autism spectrum, 18 plus. And we're gonna play games, have fun, have a dance party, a mocktail bar, taco bar, just lots of fun. So you guys can hang out with us. We're excited for that night. On Tuesday, we have a night at Get Air. So we still have some tickets left. I think that we had a limit of 100 of them. So, but they're, we just sent out the newsletter, so all the links to this will be in there. But we have Get Air night. It's also from 6 to 8 at Get Air. It's just going to be free jumping that night. All your things are included. They even told me they're going to give us the socks. We don't have to worry about that. So, but you have to fill out the register and sign the waiver things that are on the links in the it's on Facebook and on our newsletter, but if you need it, let me know otherwise, and I can get it to you. And then what else? Next week, our Lunch and Learn series, we're having a woman come to talk about polyvagal theory, which is all about regulating your nervous system. So managing your nervous system and sensory stuff, helping your kids, helping yourself, anybody, everybody. So just talk about all that kind of information. Then also next week on Thursday, we have our parent group, which is from 6 to 7:30 at Hope Inc. And you can also sign up for that one on our website. And then also next month, starting next month on the second Thursday of every month, we're going to have a littles group, which is for kids 7 and under and their parents at We Rock the Spectrum. Everything's free, but we could just for everybody to come and hang out and play, and parents have time to talk, kids have time to talk. And so that's a lot of stuff all at once, but there's a lot of stuff going on. Watch our Facebook page and the newsletter. There's more of it on there. If you guys have any questions about anything, you can always give us a call. Thank you so much for coming. And yeah,
Thank you all.
thank you, Whitney. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Kate. You're awesome.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much.